Hello, first grade parents. Thank you for taking an interest in your child's education, and thank you for caring enough to watch this video, to attend parent meetings, and to understand exactly what it is your child needs to succeed in school this year. So I am Kim Stoppel. I am the title resource teacher for Simpson Elementary School, and Kim Boxberger is also a reading interventionist who works at Simpson Elementary School. And we are just support staff along with your child's classroom teacher that are working very hard as a team to help your child feel good about school, love school, and most importantly, succeed. So we have created a packet, and thanks to Mrs. Kim Boxberger for gathering up all of these resources for you. But if you have attended a parent meeting recently, and the teacher of your child has expressed some concern in some different learning areas, you have probably been handed a packet that looks like this. So I'm just kind of going to go through the packet with you and explain what each of the components are and some of the key skills and maybe the terms that teachers have been using that you might not be familiar with as far as how to reinforce that at home. So I hope this is helpful to you. We're going to start with some literacy skills. And first of all, in your packet, you are going to find a bag within the bag, and it has some very handy little letter cards. So even though your child's in first grade and they've learned all their letters and sounds in kindergarten, sometimes children struggle with retaining those. At this point in the first grade year, they should be very comfortable and very fluent. That means very smooth and very quick in naming these letter cards. So what you can do, even though your child is not tested on this too much in first grade, but it really does help reinforce their reading skills, is to lay these out and mix them up, capitals and lowercases, lay them out in rows of 10, not in sequence, not in ABC order, and have your child go through and name them as quickly as they can, and even set a timer for a minute and see how many, if they can race themselves, and see how many letters they can get in a minute. Also, they need to be able to associate the sounds that go along with those letters. So laying them out like that and then having them not only name the letters, but then go back and make the sounds. So first time through, they're saying P, E, G, H, Z, Y, L, V. The next time, they're going P, H, E, L, T, S, M. They're making the sounds of the letters, which is just as important because, as we all know, the letter sounds are what help us to read. So those are two just very simple and easy exercises that you can do with your child to help build their reading fluency, because this has to come first before they can read words fluently within a minute. All right, so letter naming, letter word sounds. Another skill that your child has been tested on early in the year, and a skill that most children master by the end of kindergarten, is called phonemic segmentation. And that is just a fancy term for breaking the word apart into little pieces, breaking the word apart into all the little sounds that you hear. It's an auditory skill, it's not a visual skill, but that you hear in a word. So if I say the word sun, and I'm going to segment the word sun, I would say s-a-n. And we teach your child to do actions to go along with it to make it multisensory so that the brain retains it better. So s-a-n. Okay? They can also segment like this. They can stretch it. They can bubble gum it. We call this bubble gumming. You can put pennies or macaronis or pieces of cereal down on the table, and let's say 5 of each, and have them pull one down for each sound that's in the word. Let's take the word shop. Sh, ah, p. There are 4 letters in the word shop, but there's only 3 sounds. So that's why this is an auditory skill. They hear sh, because that's the sound that SH makes together. And so we only want them to pull down 1 for that sound. Now, first graders a lot of times struggle with the words that have blends. For example, the word black, blah, blah, ol, black, the BL blend at the beginning. A lot of times children will segment that b-ack, and they will leave off the ol. That's the second sound in the word. So it's very important to try to bring in some of those blend words. Slip would be another one. Stop, breaking apart those 3 and 4 sound words, phonemic segmentation. So that is another skill that would be very, very helpful to your child in pre-reading skills. Nonsense word fluency. This doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but what it is pure phonics. We don't want your child to look at a word like cat, C-A-T, because they eventually, if it's a very familiar word, they just start to be able to read it as a sight word. But when we're trying to test their phonics skills and how well they can look at the word, recognize the letters, attach the sound, and then blend the word, we want to use words that are out of the ordinary, that their brain doesn't have stored in memory. So we use words like nog, or tum, or jid, or sib. These are called nonsense words. And your child is tested on nonsense words each time we test them in their literacy skills. For 1 minute, they have to read these nonsense words. Now, they are allowed to just say the letter sounds. F, a, d, z, a, m, n, a, b. But what our hope is that by early to mid first grade, they are able to just look at the word and at least slide it. Fod, zam, nub. So sliding those first 2 sounds together. And we do have some children who take that segmentation to the nth degree, and they are trying to take this word fod and but the problem is when they're looking at a word in print like this and then trying to segment it each sound, by the time they get to the d, they forget what the f said. So, or they put on a completely different ending sound. So I like to teach the strategy of sliding the first 2 sounds together, fa, d, and then we punch the ending sound. Zam, nub. Sometimes teachers will also teach your child word families. So they will use ending chunks. So they might teach the ot family. So hot, cot, lot, pot. Just writing lists of words like that and having your child practice switching and substituting that beginning sound, also a very good exercise. And I might just, before I forget to tell you about it, show you that we have made very inexpensive way to make a dry erase board. If you don't have a dry erase board at home, we have included a dry erase marker in your packet as well, but this is just a page protector. So if this wears out, you can just purchase page protectors, very inexpensive at Walmart, Dollar General, wherever. Slide a piece of colored paper in there, or white paper works as well. But then you have an instant dry erase board that can be erased very easily. So you have one of these in there. You can write some of those word families and have your child practice. You can write nonsense words and have them practice. Again, also emphasizing the vowels in the middle of the word. We really stress the short vowels in first grade, and saying the ah and the eh and the I, and making sure your child is opening their lips and pronouncing and not just mush, I call it mush mouthing it, when you're not able to understand that vowel. Okay, so nonsense word fluency, there is another sheet on the back that you can use to practice these skills as well. You can use your little handy dandy letter cards to build these nonsense words, which would be a very good activity. Show your child the word, have them build it with their letter cards, and then read it. Okay, so nonsense word fluency, very important. Okay, then we also have a subtest on our literacy test called word reading fluency. And what that is a test of their sight word vocabulary bank. How many of these words, that I also call them snap words, words that we need to read quickly, do they have in their word bank stored and easy to recognize within text when they're reading a story? This definitely makes a huge difference in how fluent your child can read. And fluent readers have good comprehension. If we have a child who struggles and sounds out each and every word, and it's very, very intensive for them, by the time they get to an end of a sentence, and definitely by the time they would get to the end of a paragraph, they have forgotten what they read because they're so busy concentrating on decoding the words. So anytime we can help them build their word bank of sight words, high frequency words, it really helps. So we have some word cards here that you can play games with. You can lay these word cards out. You can lay out 3 rows of 3. And you can play tic-tac-toe with your child. Get 2 different colors of Fruit Loops. And you be the blue and they are the pink. And they read a word. If they read it correctly, they get to put their pink Fruit Loop on. If you read it correctly, you put your blue on. And you play a game of tic-tac-toe, 3 in a row. They love it. So something very easy that you can do, or build a word ladder. Lay out about 6 or 7 of these, 8 to 10 even. Lay them out either on a table or on the floor. They love to walk beside the words and climb the word ladder and build their fluency. If they are just guessing and trying to pull the word out of the air and it's not coming close to what they're seeing on the card, be sure to stress the beginning sound. We always say, put your lips in the shape of the beginning sound. So for this word, if they say, hat, or nothing even close, like man, put your lips in the shape of the first sound. Ooh. Now, this sound does not say ah. This is a heart word. We just have to remember it, but it's wh. We recognize that part. So the A is a heart part. What? Okay? It sounds a little bit like, and they'll probably tell you, well, it sounds like a U. Well, yes, it does. So let's say and spell W-H-A-T, what? Let's write it on our dry erase board. W-H-A-T, what? Give me a sentence with the word what. What are you doing? Okay, that is how you can make these words permanently stick, by making them practice them, see them, say them, close their eyes and spell them. Any way you can get them to practice seeing the letters and recognizing that that is a word they need to know in stories. Okay, here is another word list. You can make flashcards based on this word list. These are actually the basic, I believe there may be a few more than 40, but it is a fluency assessment out of our reading series here. So a good place to begin. And then if your child masters all of those, by all means, come and ask the teacher for more. I believe that I have gone through most of what we need to do for literacy skills for first graders. We also have, I dropped my number packet. We have some number skills that your child also may need to work on. One of the biggies in first grade is, in numeracy, is to compare 2 numbers and recognize which one is the largest. So if I have the number 4 and 2 in the box, they just have to say 4. It's the largest. If I have 6 and 10, sorry, I'm backwards on my camera. 10 would be the largest. So that's all there is to it. They have to tell you which number is the greatest out of 2. Of course, there's simple math facts that we need them to be memorizing up to 10. So taking objects, again, out of your pantry, out of your cabinet, giving them groups of any number up to 10, dividing it, and have them use their dry erase board and write a math fact for it. Help them to memorize those math facts and those math fact families for the numbers 0 through 10. And that is pretty much everything that you will probably be asked to reinforce at home for now for your child. But I would encourage you also, never stop reading out loud to your child, even when they start reading on their own. Reading aloud to your child is one of the most important skills you can do. Also, we are encouraging you to have them practice their handwriting. We have found that children are not writing and coloring nearly as much as they used to, and we need that skill to come back. We need legible handwriting, and when a child writes and says the letter at the same time, it helps them remember it. It becomes more permanent. Same with number writing. We need it to be legible so that when they get into writing the larger numbers and aligning them when they do math facts, and then later on in multiplication and division, they need to be legible. So practicing these as much as you can. This is laminated so it can be used over and over again. Thank you so much for taking the time to view this video. Here are some books to help you get started with read alouds. And have a great day. And again, thank you for being a parent that cares.